Identity of the person behind a 53-year-old hijacking mystery could soon be solved thanks to new evidence. Back in 1971, the man famously known as D.B. Cooper hijacked a Portland to Seattle flight saying he had a bomb. He demanded 4 parachutes and $200,000 in cash, and then he jumped out of the plane with the ransom money over Southwest Washington.
For more than 50 years, it's been the most cinematic cold case in American criminal history. One man, a stolen fortune, a mid-air escape, and nothing but the night sky between him and legend. No arrest, no body, not even a confirmed identity, just a name, or rather, an alias that still sends a jolt through true crime enthusiasts, D.B. Cooper. And now, half a century later, a shocking discovery on the other side of the country has reignited the case that the FBI officially gave up on back in 2016.
He was the first man in U.S. history to hijack a plane for ransom. He leapt out of a commercial jet with a parachute, $200,000, and was never seen again, dead or alive.
It's the kind of headline that makes you blink twice. A YouTuber claims he's found Cooper's parachute in North Carolina, not in the misty forests of Washington state where Cooper jumped into the dark in 1971, not buried under a layer of moss along the Columbia River where a small bundle of his ransom cash washed ashore in 1980, but in a shed hundreds of miles away on property once tied to a man the FBI quietly labeled a serious suspect decades ago.
That parachute that D.B. Cooper used, and that it could actually end the mystery once and for all.
We just solved it. Literally. Literally. This is the rig because they know what rig he used when he jumped that night.
Now he says it belongs to a man named Richard McCoy Jr. Now look at the side-by-side comparison.
The man making the claim is Dan Grider, a retired pilot and longtime aviation YouTuber who's been poking around the Cooper case for nearly 20 years. In a video on his channel Probable Cause, Grider holds up the rig, a parachute setup that he says is literally 1 in a billion in terms of matching the one Cooper used. His confidence is absolute. This is the rig he used. He says, "We just solved it." According to Grider, the chute's design and modifications line up exactly with the gear handed over to Cooper in Seattle on that foggy November afternoon. And the kicker? He didn't just find it anywhere. He found it on the property of Richard McCoy Jr.
The parachute was found on the McCoy family property about 2 years ago. Now, he has always been a rumored longtime suspect and was killed in 1974 after pulling off a similar heist, but there's never been any proof linking him.
A man some believe was Cooper all along. If you know the McCoy story, this is where things get eerily familiar. Just 5 months after Cooper's hijacking, McCoy, a Vietnam veteran and skilled military pilot, hijacked a commercial flight out of Denver, demanded $500,000 and 4 parachutes, and bailed out over Utah. It was almost a carbon copy of Cooper's heist, just with a bigger payout. McCoy was caught within days, convicted, and sentenced to 45 years in prison, but he didn't stick around. He escaped in 1974 and was killed in a shootout with the FBI 3 months later. The similarities between the two crimes, plus McCoy's uncanny resemblance to the Cooper sketch, have kept his name in the suspect pool ever since. Now, McCoy's own children are saying what Cooper obsessives have been arguing for decades. They believe their father was D.B. Cooper. Shanta and Rick McCoy III told reporters they've long suspected it, and Grider's find, unearthed from their late mother's shed, is to them the smoking gun. The FBI, for their part, hasn't confirmed or denied anything. Their last official word on the Cooper case was back in July 2016, when they announced they'd no longer be actively investigating. Still, they left a door open.
The FBI said yesterday the decades-long investigation into the hijacker known as D.B. Cooper is closed. The case captured the imagination of amateur sleuths around the world. Andela shows us the captivating story that may never have an ending.
If specific physical evidence tied to Cooper, like a parachute or the stolen cash, turned up, they'd take a look, and take a look they have. Grider says the Bureau took possession of the rig, along with a harness and an old skydiving logbook in September 2023. The possibility that this could actually be Cooper's parachute is more than just a neat detail. If proven, it could finally lock down the theory that Richard McCoy and D.B. Cooper were the same man, giving closure to a case that has survived on speculation speculation for half a century. FBI forensic work could match DNA from McCoy's remains to trace evidence collected from the plane's cabin in 1971. Grider even says investigators have floated the idea of exhuming McCoy's body to make that match, a move that would be as dramatic as it is definitive. But as with anything in the Cooper case, there's a healthy dose of skepticism. For one thing, the parachute's journey from Washington State in 1971 to North Carolina decades later is a story that's still missing key chapters, and the FBI has yet to make any public statement confirming its authenticity. Until they do, Grider's claim is just that, a claim. Even so, the discovery has already done something remarkable. It's breathed life back into a case the government had put to bed. The story of D.B. Cooper has always been as much about the myth as the man. On November 24th, 1971, a well-dressed passenger boarded Northwest Orient Flight 305 in Portland, ordered a bourbon and soda, and handed a note to a flight attendant that began with, "Miss, I have a bomb." He demanded $200,000 in cash, worth about $1.4 million today, and 4 parachutes. When the plane landed in Seattle, the passengers were released, the ransom was handed over, and the Boeing 727 took off again under Cooper's instructions, heading toward Mexico City. Somewhere over southwestern Washington in heavy rain and near freezing winds, Cooper lowered the rear stairs, strapped on a parachute, and jumped into the blackness. He was never seen again. In the decades that followed, the FBI chased thousands of leads, examined dozens of suspects, and sifted through countless wild theories. Treasure hunters combed the forests, amateur sleuths mapped possible drop zones, and every few years, some new breakthrough would make headlines. The closest the world ever got to Cooper was in 1980, when a boy camping on the Columbia River found 3 rotting packets of $20 bills, confirmed to be part of the ransom. That discovery only deepened the mystery, suggesting Cooper either didn't survive the jump or hid the money deliberately. And now, here we are, more than 50 years later, with a parachute in FBI hands and a family saying the truth has been sitting in their shed all along.
Parachute caught the attention of the FBI, who then visited the home and took the parachute into custody. Now, we asked the FBI about this, and they wouldn't confirm nor deny. They would only point us to a 2016 statement that basically says they've stopped wasting resources on this because they've gotten nowhere.
Maybe it's the real deal. Maybe it's just another tantalizing dead end in a case built on them. But the timing, the location, and the McCoy connection make it hard to dismiss outright. After all, in the strange, tangled legend of D.B. Cooper, stranger things have already happened. Until the Bureau speaks, the world is left hanging in the same suspense it's been in since that stormy night in 1971. Maybe Cooper, or McCoy, didn't take his secret to the grave after all. Maybe the final clue was sitting in an old North Carolina shed, waiting for someone to open the door. And maybe, just maybe, we're about to close the book on America's most legendary getaway.